Welcome back to the David Pakman Show.
Welcome back to the show. Several new David Pakman Show members I want to say hello to today. Frank Briggs, Mark Hallex, Logan Coughlin, Claudia Avery, Bill Randall. Thanks to to all of them and everybody else who is choosing to remain anonymous. Many people really trying to fly under the radar with these memberships, Lewis. Not big like Lewis on publicizing his countless memberships. Mm-hmm. And I respect that.
As do I.
DavidPakman.com/membership is the website to sign up. The birther stuff that is really being driven now by Donald Trump is getting people completely wound up into saying things that, number one, make no sense. Number two, conflict with previous statements. I love flip-flops. I really do. So let's get into some of these. First, we have Sarah Palin. Now, Sarah Palin, she said several months ago that the birther thing is, quote, distracting and it gets annoying and that we should stick to other things, right? This is, of course, our friend Sarah Palin.
They have power in their words. They could repudiate what it is.
Right. So she said that this is not a legitimate discussion, except she seems to have changed her mind. She seems to have changed her mind drastically. Here she is explaining her new position on birtherism vis-a-vis Donald Trump.
Well, I appreciate that the Donald wants to spend his resources in getting to the bottom of something that it so interests him and many Americans. You know, more power to him. He's not just throwing stones and from the sidelines. He's digging in there. He's paying for researchers to find out why President Obama would have spent $2 million to not show his birth certificate. So,
right. So that's, by the way, that's the real Sarah Palin. We haven't doctored that in any way. That's the clip. And, of course, spending $2 million not to show the birth certificate, that's made up. The reality is he's had to pay for lawyers to defend himself from lawsuits from people like Orly Tates, who's been a guest on this show, and Phil Berg. So Palin flip-flopping, now she's in on the birther action. Who else is getting in on it? Well, what about Michele Bachmann? You know what her position is. Let's hear her latest statement. She now is getting very, very heavily involved in the birther scene.
All right, so you're considering a run. You said you're going to make your decision sometime around June, if I remember correctly. Donald Trump has gotten a lot of news, and we'll be talking to him later this week on this program. What do you think of the issue that he's brought up involving whether or not the president and his birth certificate?
Well, I've said that I take the president at his word. The president has offered his certificate of birth, and I take him at his word.
Okay. Do you think it's a question that is worth asking? In other words, show the birth certificate, or do you think that's out of bounds?
As far as I'm concerned, I think if I decide to throw my hat in the ring, anybody can look at my birth certificate. I could care less. This is the easiest problem to solve. The president just has to give the proof and verification, and there it goes. Either it's real or it's not. Everybody should put their birth certificate on the table and not worry about it. It doesn't have to be a talk.
Yeah, let's put everybody get those birth certificates right on the table, Lewis. We need that. That's what we need. Michele Bachmann. She really is not only a constitutional expert, self-proclaimed, but really also an expert on proper documentation and birthing. And she's very diverse in her expertise, right?
Not so good at reading off teleprompters, though.
Right, yeah. Well, remember when she went into the trance with Chris Matthews?
Well, and the State of the Union.
That's right. She did it where, like, for example, if I was doing that speech here, instead of looking at the camera or instead of looking off this way, I would just somehow be looking off to this side. And I would be giving the speech this way. It was a bizarre delivery. Yeah. But my favorite is when she went into the so-called trance and Chris Matthews called her out. I even have that here.
Energy tax. Those are the four issues that the American people...
You were going to say you still think she just couldn't hear well.
I think so.
It's still hilarious.
...want the Congress to deal with because they want to get certainty back into the economy.
Right.
What this election shows is that people believe in this country. They love free enterprise.
Right.
They love capitalism. Make sure that we have jobs going forward.
Let me ask you, Congresswoman Bachmann, are you hypnotized tonight? Has someone hypnotized you? Because no matter what I ask you, you give the same answer. Are you hypnotized? Has someone put you under a trance tonight? Did you give me the same answer no matter what question I put to you?
I think the American people are the ones that finally are speaking tonight. We're coming out of our trance. Really, we're coming out of our nightmare.
See, Lewis,
Okay, well-
she heard the word trance for sure. She could hear what he was saying. She answered it. She's talking about coming out of the trance.
Maybe that was the only word she heard. I don't know.
Man, that is brilliant.
I agree with you that it's very funny.
I don't even like Chris Matthews that much, but that's just hilarious.